In last lecture, we discussed about the impedance, input impedance of a transmission line at any distance x from the load, and that expression we got as input impedance Z in is equal to Z naught into ZL cos hyperbolic gamma L plus Z naught sin hyperbolic gamma L whole divided by Z naught cos hyperbolic gamma L plus ZL sin hyperbolic gamma L. This expression we already got. Now today we have some discussion based on this input impedance for some specific cases, and that is very important. Such type of problem always asked in GATE exams, and also it will be very much helpful in your major examination. So listen carefully. This is our expression of what? Input impedance, where gamma is what? Gamma is propagation constant, and that propagation constant was given by alpha is equal to j beta, where alpha is the real part and beta imaginary part. This alpha decides whether the transmission line is lossless or lossy. So if alpha is equal to 0, in that situation we can say that the transmission line is lossless. And in such situation gamma can be replaced by j beta only, because alpha is 0. So putting this value of gamma here, Z in is equal to Z naught ZL cos hyperbolic j beta plus Z naught sin hyperbolic j beta divided by Z naught cos hyperbolic j beta plus ZL sin hyperbolic j beta. Now further we can simplify this by expanding this hyperbolic function into the other trigonometric function. For example, we can change this sin hyperbolic to the sine function or cos hyperbolic to the cos function. We know this relation. Suppose cos hyperbolic theta. So what is its formula? It is e to the power theta plus e to the power minus theta divided by 2. Similarly, sine hyperbolic theta, that is given by e to the power theta minus e to the power minus theta divided by 2. Now if we substitute here, instead of theta, if we put j theta, for example cos hyperbolic j theta, so what will be the relation here? E to the power j theta plus e to the power minus j theta, e to the power j theta plus e to the power minus j theta divided by 2, and this is what? This is equal to cos theta. So cos hyperbolic j theta, if we have imaginary part inside this cos term, then we can remove this hyperbolic and directly we can write as cos theta. Similarly, what about sine hyperbolic j theta? So we can write here e to the power j theta plus minus e to the power minus j theta divided by 2, and when you will solve this we will get j sine theta. So we will use these two expressions to further simplify the expression of input impedance. Therefore Z input impedance is equal to Z naught. Now here ZL, and it is now what? See, instead of beta, L is there because gamma L is there. So with beta we have another term also, L. Now ZL and cos j beta L. So cos h j theta, it means cos theta only. So we can write cos beta L. Similarly here also we can write j z naught sine not hyperbolic beta l, and in the denominator we can write z naught cos beta l plus j zl sine beta l. So this is our further simplified expression for input impedance. Now for different length L, we can make some standard result as a input impedance. So one by one we will discuss all those. Now what is this beta L? Actually L is what? L is the length of transmission line. And what is beta? It is propagation constant, imaginary part of propagation constant, or we can say a type of phase shift or phase constant, which is equal to 2 pi divided by lambda. Means whole term, the multiplication beta into L, this is combinedly known as electrical length. So for any value of L given in terms of wavelength, in problem generally this length of transmission line is mentioned in terms of wavelength. So after taking the multiplication of this L as a function of lambda and 2 pi by lambda, we can get some constant phase shift. So first case, suppose we have L is equal to lambda by 8. This is the length of transmission line. So for this length, how we can write for beta L? This beta L is equal to 2 pi by lambda, the value of beta, and L is what? Lambda by 8, and we can get as pi by 4. So what will be now input impedance? Z in. So that should be equal to, see this expression, Z naught into ZL cos beta L, and beta L is what? Pi by 4, plus J Z naught sine beta L, again pi by 4, divided by Z naught cos pi by 4 plus J Z naught sine pi by 4, and we can put the value of this pi by 4, cos pi by 4 and sine pi by 4, these are 1 by root 2. So when you will put here 1 by root 2 in all this term, so root 2 will be cancelled out, and then we are left only with Z in is equal to Z naught, and in the numerator we have ZL plus J Z naught divided by Z naught plus J ZL. Means if transmission line having length lambda by 8, at that situation we can see this Z in is given by this expression. We can directly use this one. No need to write the above one. Now for the second case, suppose if we take lambda L is equal to lambda by 4. So for this case we can write beta L is equal to 2 pi by lambda into lambda by 4. So this is now what? Pi by 2. Therefore Z in this situation we can write Z naught into ZL cos pi by 2 plus J Z naught sine pi by 2 divided by Z naught, again cos pi by 2 plus J ZL sine pi by 2. Now put the value of cos pi by 2 and sine pi by 2. So this term will be 0. This term also it will be 0. And then we have J Z naught sine J Z naught divided by J ZL. ZL, ZL, ZZ, JJ will cancel out. So in this case is equal to Z0 into again Z0 divided by ZL, and this is what Z0 square divided by ZL. Very important expression. In the case when we have L is equal to lambda by 4, we will make some conclusion on this one. Actually, see what we observe here, when the length of transmission line is lambda by 4, there will be some load impedance denoted by ZL. Now what we observe here, that input impedance is Z0 square by ZL, means if suppose ZL is what, capacitive nature. Capacitive means what? Suppose minus J is there in the denominator. So when it will come to the upper part, it will be what? Plus J. Means Zn will be now inductive nature. Magnitude will be the same because Z0 square divided by ZL. This magnitude will be same. But suppose now it is of inductive nature. So once ZL is inductive, so now J part, when it will come to the numerator, it will have negative value. Then we conclude that it is what? Capacitive nature. So whatever value of ZL we have, suppose we take apart from this capacitive or inductive nature, we take some other impedance value, for example 4 plus J3. So when this 4 plus J3 will come to the numerator, it will be what? 4 minus J3 of opposite nature. So this L equal to lambda by 4 transmission line is also known as inverter. Inverter meaning what? That input impedance will have the inversion of whatever ZL we have. Okay. Now in the third case, coming to L is equal to lambda by 2. Now in this situation, beta L should be equal to 2 pi by lambda into lambda by 2. So value is what? Pi. And in this situation, what value of Zin we will get? That is Z0 into ZL cos pi. So ZL cos pi is what? Minus ZL minus 1. Z0 sin pi, its value is what? 0. And here in the denominator, Z0 cos pi again minus Z0, and here it will be again 0. So the value we are getting as Z0 will cancel out, also negative sign will cancel, so we have ZL. So in this case, the input impedance of transmission line is ZL when the length of transmission line is lambda by 2. Means input impedance we are getting same as that we have for load impedance. It means that this length of transmission line act as what? Reflector. So here we have discussed 3 different length of transmission line, and in terms of electrical length beta L, and we have seen the nature of input impedance of a line always depends on the length to wavelength relationship, that is beta L. So beta L decides the nature of your transmission line, whether your transmission line will have input impedance as an arbitrary value like this, or it will work as inverter, or it will work as a reflector. So these are the different special cases, so you have to keep in mind. Okay, any doubt? So lambda by 4 line is called as inverter as its one end impedance is of opposite nature to that of impedance at other end, and lambda by 2 line is what? Impedance reflector. Now we will solve one problem. You can have various type of problem how to calculate the input impedance. One type of problem, general problem I am discussing here, that we have multiple number of transmission line and have some series and parallel combination arrangement, then how we can find the input impedance. So see this problem. Suppose R0 it represents the characteristics impedance of transmission line. We are taking one transmission line here starting, whose length is from this point to this point. The length is lambda by 8. In this arm we are taking another transmission line which having length lambda by 2 from this point to this point, and the resistor is connected here, load, and that load is given by R0 divided by 2, where R0 is what? Characteristics impedance of transmission line. We take the another arm, this one, where another load impedance is given as a resistor, and its value is 2 R0. R0, you know, characteristics impedance, and the length of this transmission line is lambda by 4. Now you have to calculate the input impedance at this point. What is the input impedance here? Now how to calculate? See here, we have 3 different lengths of transmission line. So we should start from the right side here. This represents the transmission line 1, suppose. This is the second transmission line, and this is our third transmission line. So one by one, first we will calculate the individual impedance of each transmission line, and then we will see whether they are connected in series, parallel. Based on that we can calculate the equivalent impedance. Now to calculate the input impedance, important parameters that we require, we should have the idea of load impedance, characteristics impedance, and length of transmission line. These 3 requirements should be present. So already we know the R0 is given, characteristics impedance. Load is given, different value of load. For this transmission line R0 by 2, for this we have 2 R0, but for this no load is given. So what will be the load here? This load will be same as the input impedance carried by this transmission line 2 and the input impedance carried by this transmission line 3. So the parallel combination of these 2 and 3 will give the load impedance at this point. So first we will calculate the input impedance due to the second one. So suppose this is denoted by Z into. So what is this? Lambda by 2. So no need to write the formula, you can directly put here. Already we have discussed these 3 cases. For L equal to lambda by 2, we know that Z input impedance is equal to ZL as a reflector. Means whatever the load impedance is there, same will be the input impedance for this length. Therefore, we can write Z into, that is equal to R0 by 2. Directly we have written the value of this load impedance here. Now what is the case for Z in 3, this transmission line? So Z in 3, it should be equal to, length is what? Lambda by 4. So once length is lambda by 4, the formula is what? Z0 square divided by ZL, where Z0 is what? R0. So we will write here R0 square, and divided by ZL. ZL is what? 2 R0. So we will write here 2 R0, and the value we are getting as R0 divided by 2. Now see here, what is the load for this? Suppose it is denoted by ZL at this point. So this ZL should be equal to parallel combination of Z in 2 and Z in 3. So we will apply here parallel combination, and when you will find the parallel of this, since same value we will get their half, so value is ZL equal to R naught by 4. Now once we have an idea for ZL for this transmission line R naught by 4, then we can find the input impedance here, and that input impedance is equal to, we will use for lambda by 8, and what is the expression for this? Z naught into ZL plus Z naught into ZL plus JZ naught divided by Z naught plus JZL. Now you can put Z naught is what? Z naught is equal to R naught, and ZL is equal to what? Now ZL is equal to R naught by 4. So putting these two values, we can get Z in as, after simplification, you can simplify this, put this value, you can get value here. So, okay, so I am skipping this final result on you, try yourself and write. So based on such type of problem, you can have any arbitrary combination of different length of transmission line, from where you have to calculate the input impedance. Now if we recall, we have discussed about the short circuit and open circuit transmission line. So in case of short circuit and open circuit transmission line, either they will behave as an inductor or they will have a capacitive nature, and that depends upon what length of transmission line we are taking. So we will see first writing the formula that we have derived for the short circuit impedance and open circuit impedance. So writing here short circuit line, transmission line, and here we are writing open circuit transmission line. So what was the input impedance for short circuit transmission line? If you recall, the expression of this one was Zin is equal to ZSC short circuit, that is Z0 tan hyperbolic gamma L. And since we are discussing for lossless, means we will put gamma is equal to J beta. When you will apply gamma is equal to J beta, we will get as Z in is equal to J Z0 tan beta L. And similarly, for this line open circuit, we have ZOC as Z0 cot hyperbolic gamma L, and put same condition gamma is equal to J beta, we will get ZOC is equal to minus J Z0 divided by tan beta L. Now this value of J, presence of J here, will give the idea that whether this is of inductive nature or capacitive nature. And also we have to take care of the polarity of this magnitude, tan beta L. So tan may have a positive or negative value depending upon what is the value of beta L. Beta L is what? Electrical path length. So whenever tan inside, we have this from 0 to pi by 2. This value will be positive, and overall we can say Z in will have the value multiplied by plus J, and plus J denotes what? Inductive nature. Inductive nature. Because for the inductive, any inductor, if you want to calculate the impedance, suppose L is the inductance, omega is the frequency, so the value will be J omega L. So therefore we are writing here inductive nature. And here for same value ZOC, we see that will have minus J, because tan beta L is positive, but in numerator we have a minus J. So this minus j represents the capacitive nature. Capacitive nature, because when you will calculate the impedance due to capacitance, that is 1 by j omega c, means minus j divided by omega c. Therefore it is capacitive nature. Now beta L is 0 to pi by 2, means what? In terms of for length L, what we can say, beta L is equal to pi by 2. This is for length lambda by 4. So we can say when length is between 0 to lambda by 4, for this situation we have this behavior. And here also the same, when we have 0 between 0 and lambda by 4, the length of transmission line, at that situation it will be capacitive nature. Now what is for this condition? Another one, suppose now we are taking L is from lambda by 4 to lambda by 2. So if we take lambda by 4 to lambda by 2, so at that situation we have a beta Ls, that is from pi by 2 to pi. And when you put this in this one 10 beta L, this will have negative value. So negative into J, then Z in or short circuit, at that situation we have minus J. Then it will behave as what? Capacitive nature. This is a capacitive nature. Now if you apply same here, lambda by 4 to lambda by 2, at that situation Z in will be what now? Positive, because denominator is negative value and numerator also negative, so it will be some positive value. Okay, so there we can say this transmission line act as inductor, or it is of inductive nature. Hence from this discussion we can conclude that our short circuit or open circuit transmission line may behave as inductor as well as for capacitive nature, but that will be decided by what? Length of the transmission line. So these are the standard result you have to keep in mind. Now next thing, this we have calculated the input impedance for the fixed point, at the fixed point, but one can also write as a function of x the same expression. So instead of L you can write x. Now see, this is our transmission line and this is load denoted by ZL. This transmission line having characteristics impedance Z0. When Vi wave is incident on the load, so what is the value of ZL as a function of Z0 will decide that whether it will be reflected or it is the condition of meshed one, means meshed condition. So we can have two situations. One is what? Meshed condition. Another one we can have mismatched condition. In case of meshed condition, there is no reflected wave from the load. But in case of mismatched condition, there is some reflected wave from the load. This corresponds to our mismatched condition. Now depending upon the value of gamma, which is alpha plus j beta, here also we can have two situations depending upon the value of alpha. Whether alpha is equal to 0 or it is not equal to 0, we can have two situations. One is what? Your lossless situation. So alpha is equal to 0. This is the lossless And when alpha is not equal to 0, then we can say it is our what? Lossy. Now, how many combinations are there including these two? Two are there, matched and mismatched, and two are there, lossy and lossless. So we can have four conditions. One, we can say lossless matched line. We can say lossy matched line. And another two can be for lossy mismatched line and lossless mismatched line and lossy mismatched line. So first we see how the wave we can draw for matched line. This is our load at this point. This point represents x equal to 0. If you recall from the earlier class, the reference was what? Load, from where x is equal to 0. And the positive direction of this reflected wave was taken in the direction of reflection, means towards the source, load to source. So see, this is our voltage wave traveling towards the load, and when it is matched one, so what will happen? There is no reflected wave. We can observe here, no reflected wave in this situation. Only these are what? Incident wave to the load. Now in case of lossy, see carefully one thing, that magnitude maximum value of this wave has been maintained constant. This represents that there is no loss, means lossless. In case of lossy, the signal amplitude will decay exponentially due to the term e to the power minus alpha z. So we can have a situation like this. This is the situation of lossy matched line. Now the third situation is what? Lossless mismatched line. So lossless means what? This amplitude will be constant, but there will be now some reflected wave. So on this only I am drawing, okay, this line only. This is our incident wave. So when we have mismatched condition, there will be some reflection, and a reflected wave can be observed. So like this. Now see here, since it is lossless, therefore magnitude is maintained constant, this one. And we can, one thing is there, since it is the matched one, therefore we cannot observe this situation if we have a, sorry, we are discussing for what? Lossless and mismatched condition, not matched condition. This is for mismatched. Since mismatch is there, therefore we can have some phase difference between the wave which is incident and the wave which is reflected, and that phase difference will be given by your reflection coefficient discussed in unit 3rd, but here we will discuss in detail that reflection coefficient. Now see, in case of lossy and mismatched situation, we can observe one wave that will be reflected and that will decay with time. So we can see here. So this is the mismatched condition, but since the medium is lossy, therefore we can observe decay. Now if we see the reflection coefficient, here, what is the voltage expression? This is some incident wave that is towards the load V0, e to the power j beta x, and away from the load V naught ZL minus Z naught divided by ZL plus Z naught e to the power minus j beta x. This expression we have already derived. This represents what? This is our forward wave, means from source to load, and suppose it is denoted by Vf. This is our reflected wave, because see the sign minus j beta x. It represents that this wave, this component is in the positive x direction. And what was the positive x direction? That was from load to source. And suppose it is denoted by Vr, because load to source means it is reflected portion of that wave. Now if we recall the definition of reflection coefficient, so the amount of signal that has been reflected, or fraction of that signal amplitude. So how we can define here gamma? Since it is a function of x, so we will write gamma is a function of x. Now gamma is equal to Vr divided by Vf, and when you will divide these two, we can get as ZL minus Z0 divided by ZL plus Z0. So from here you can and also e to the power minus j beta x divided by e to the power j beta x. So we will write e to the power minus j 2 beta x, which is what? Function of x. Now at x equal to 0, if we define, so at x equal to 0 we can say gamma 0, that is what? ZL minus Z0 divided by ZL plus Z0. This term is unity at x equal to 0. So see here, already we have written this expression in the starting of transmission line, how we will define gamma, and from here we can verify how we are getting that one. What we observe from this expression of gamma x, that there is some amplitude and there is some phase. So see, in the previous, in case of mismatched situation, we have some phase difference between incident and reflected wave, and that phase difference occurs due to the presence of the term e to the power minus j2 beta x. This is our magnitude and this is our phase change. So in case of lossy, we can have some non-zero value here, and due to that e to the power minus j beta x, we can see we have a variable phase shift in the reflected wave. So how we can write gamma? Gamma we can say at load, x equal to 0 means we are defining at load. So at load, ZL minus Z0 divided by ZL plus Z0. So gamma, also from here you can find the magnitude of gamma only. So what will be the magnitude? E to the power minus j2 beta x, its magnitude is 1. So the remaining term is ZL minus Z0 divided by ZL plus Z0. This is our magnitude. But keep in mind, we have hide this portion in the magnitude. So in the problem, whenever magnitude of deflection coefficient is given, it doesn't mean that is a positive. That may be that positive value, or that may be some negative value due to this term, due to phase change. Because suppose if phase change is pi mentioned and magnitude is 3, so what will be the value? 3 e to the power minus j pi. Now what is the value of e to the power minus j pi? This is minus 1. So then at this situation we can say minus 3. When you will break this, e to the power j pi, cos pi plus j sin pi, and sin pi term will be 0, but cos pi is what? Minus 1, therefore minus 3. So I want to say that once you have given magnitude of reflection coefficient, then we can have two possibilities there. It may be a positive quantity or it may be a negative quantity. So this e to the power minus j beta x we can write in some another form. Gamma is equal to magnitude of this and e to the power j theta, where theta is what? This angle theta is the phase difference between the reflected and forward waves. Phase difference between reflected and forward wave. And gamma is what? It is the measurement of mismatch between the expected impedance Z0 and the actual impedance ZL at the load. Okay. So see here, from the expression of a gamma, we can say that gamma is equal to magnitude is ZL minus Z0 divided by ZL plus Z0. So what is its maximum value? Maximum value will be 1 when we have ZL is equal to Z0. Z0 we put in such a way that both the term ZL minus Z0 and ZL plus Z0 that will be same. So at that situation maximum value can be 1. And what is the minimum value? When ZL is equal to Z0 in the case of mismatch condition. So gamma will have a value that is between 0 to 1, and this 0 is the condition of matched one. So matched condition. Okay. Now once we have idea of a gamma, now we can define the details of complete mismatch of the line. So that we will discuss in the next lecture. We have 4 different cases for this, and that are very much useful to you. So any doubt till now you can ask.